The most mysterious queen in history, Bilqis, is mentioned in the Quran. She was the wife of Prophet Sulaiman. Bilqis ruled a kingdom that stretched from South Arabia to Africa. There are unbelievable things you should know about her. Some people claim she was half human, half jinn. Could Prophet Sulaiman, who had control over the jinn and made them work for him, really have married a jinn? What do Islamic stories say about this? But this story didn't begin with a queen. It began with a small bird named Hudhud who understood people and brought strange news from far away. This little bird helped a queen who used to worship the sun to become Muslim and also changed history. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more videos like this. If you're ready, let's begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We relate to you, O Muhammad, the best of stories in what we have revealed to you of this Quran, although you were before it among the unaware. Surah Yusuf. 12-3, the soldiers had gathered and were waiting for the inspection of their leader and prophets. This was one of the most interesting armies in history. The army was made up of humans, jinn, birds, and other animals. Even the winds would carry Sulaiman wherever he wanted to go. The human forces included soldiers on foot and on horses. The jinn warriors were invisible to the human eye. What made this army so terrifying was that the enemy couldn't see many of its members. Some birds and animals also joined Suleiman's army. Lions were the leaders of the animal group, followed by tigers. The bird forces included many hawks and falcons. The hoopoe bird, known as Hudhud, was responsible for intelligence. A hudhud's job was to fly far distances and spy for the army. It would watch and learn everything about the enemy, then return to report what it had seen. Hudhud had a very sensitive and important role in the army. At the moment the army gathered, many animals noticed that Hudhud was missing. They whispered to each other, "The commander will soon arrive," and realize Hudhud is not here. When Sulaiman finally came near the army, the whispers grew louder. When he arrived, he noticed Hudhud was not present. Hudhud was actually in the land of the Queen of Sheba at that time. He had traveled a long way and felt inside that he was following some important news. He landed on top of a tall tree above the city. From there, he watched the roads, houses, palaces, and gates. Everything. He sensed something unusual. It looked like the people were gathering for a ceremony. So he asked another hoopoe who lived in that city, "Oh, beautiful Hudhud, can you please tell me what's happening in this city?" "The people are going to see the Queen of Sheba. They are about to perform a ceremony where they all bow down to the sun." Suleiman's spy bird now knew that his feelings had been right. He saw the guards first, then the commanders and soldiers. Finally, the Queen of Sheba appeared on her throne. She stepped down from her throne and led the people. She raised her hands and bowed to the sun. All the people bowed with her. Hudhud watched everything, thinking about how Suleiman would react to this news. He flew back right away. After many days of tiring flight, he reached the place where the army had gathered. All the birds surrounded him, angry. A small sparrow was the first to speak. "Where have you been? Our leader Sulaiman asked about you. We hope you have a good excuse for disappearing." Hudhud felt even more worried. He decided to go and see Prophet Sulaiman immediately. He had no choice but to speak and ask for forgiveness. He flew, trembling, towards Suleiman's tent while the prophet was having dinner. Hudhud entered through the window and sat quietly at the edge of the table. He tried to stay away from Suleiman's hands, with his head down in fear. He gave his greetings. Slowly, with humility, he raised his head, but he could only lift his eyes up to Suleiman's hands and chest. He was too ashamed to look at his face. While speaking, Hudhud could only focus on the prophet's hands. He decided that he should be the first to speak. He had learnt a lot from his leader, and he knew very well that the best way to reach Suleiman's heart was to tell the truth clearly. He said, "My master, I have brought important news about a people you don't know. In a faraway land, I saw a woman ruling over the people of Saba. She sits on a great throne and has everything anyone could want. But I saw her and her people bowing to the sun instead of to Allah. Shaitan has made their actions look good to them." These words were powerful. Hudhud was showing that he had a real reason for being late. He had been on an important mission. Sulaiman began to reply, "Of course, we must check if what you're saying is true. I will write a letter. You will take it to them and then wait to see how they respond." Hudhud took the sealed letter and flew quickly toward the land of Saba. When he arrived, he landed on a tree in the palace garden and searched for the queen's room. He saw a large room with a big balcony and knew that must be hers. With the letter in his beak, he flew toward the open window and entered. He decided to hide behind a decoration on the ceiling. When he looked out, he saw the queen sleeping in her bed. Her hair was spread across the pillow. Her face was very beautiful. As he watched her beauty, he also felt sad for her. Why would someone with so much beauty, wealth, and power still bow to the sun? He thought. Shaitan has fooled them. He made them worship something other than Allah. How did he do that? Then he thought, if Sulaiman's army fights the people of Saba, the result is clear. Yes, the queen is strong, but she can't defeat the prophet's army. His soldiers could idly take over. Hudhud wondered, should I drop the letter now or wait until she wakes up completely? He didn't know what was written in the letter. While he was thinking, the letter suddenly slipped from his beak and fell onto the queen's bed. The queen opened her eyes and found a letter in front of her. She quickly looked around but saw no one. Feeling afraid, she opened the letter and read it quietly. This message is from in the name of Allah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. I invite you to believe in one Allah. Do not act arrogantly toward me. Come to me and submit. The queen became angry and looked around again to see who had brought the letter. When she saw no one, her anger grew. She called her guards and said, "Who dares to enter my room? Who did this?" The guards were shocked. No one had entered the room. They said they had their swords in hand and their eyes opened the whole time. They swore that no one had come near the queen's room. Meanwhile, the Hudhud bird had hidden in a small gap above and was listening to everything. Queen Bilqis shouted, "Then where did this letter come from?" as she held the letter up in her hand. The guards tried to guess how the letter had arrived, but none of them had seen anyone bring it. They were confused and didn't know what to say. Queen Bilqis quickly called an emergency meeting with her council. The council gathered with Queen Bilqis leading the meeting. She said, "Oh, my advisors, I have received a very important letter. It is from He begins his letter in the name of Allah, Al-Rahman, and Al-Rahim. He tells me to come to him without pride." "What do you think we should do?" one of the advisors said. "It means King Sulaiman wants us to submit to him." "That sounds like a call to war." "Let's fight," another said. "We are strong and powerful. Let's show him our strength and go to war." Most of the council members agreed with these warlike opinions. But one wise advisor suddenly asked, "Where is the messenger who brought the letter? That's the only one who can help us understand Sulaiman's real intention." Queen Bilqis replied that she didn't know. She said she had found the letter on her bed when she woke up. One of the advisors continued speaking. "This is a little scary. I suggest that we wait. If Sulaiman could send a letter in such a strange and powerful way without a messenger, then who knows how strong he is in war? So we should wait and see." Then Queen Bilqis spoke. "When kings attack a land, they destroy everything and turn honorable people into weak ones. I fear something like this might happen to us. So I suggest we send gifts with messengers. Then we wait and see what response we get." No one objected, so her suggestion was accepted. Hudhud, the bird, heard the entire conversation. When the meeting ended, he flew away. In the land of the queen, it was announced that a gift would be made from gold and jewels. No matter the cost, it must be a magnificent gift, they said to the queen. Sulaiman was a powerful and scary man, and only a very valuable gift might please him. Their future depended on his mercy. The artists of the kingdom began working day and night to make this special gift. They used many valuable materials. Finally, the gift was ready. It was a golden tray. On its sides were 2 wolves made of gold and other jewels. When Queen Bilqis saw this beautiful and expensive gift, she was pleased. She ordered her messengers to prepare and carry it to Sulaiman. She also sent one of her army commanders to learn more about Sulaiman's military power. She said to her messengers, "Find out what Sulaiman really wants from us and how strong his army is." Prophet Sulaiman had already heard about the queen's meeting through Hud. While Hudhud was flying around the borders of the land, he saw the caravan of messengers and quickly flew back to inform Sulaiman. From what he heard, Sulaiman understood that the queen was sending gifts. He also knew that her real goal was to find out his intentions and military strength, so Sulaiman gave an order. As soon as Queen Bilqis opened her eyes, she met with the messengers. She asked, "Well, tell me, what did Sulaiman say when you gave him the gift?" But the messengers explained that they did not meet Sulaiman. One of his commanders received the gift and took it to him, but sadly, Sulaiman rejected the gift. "He sent it back to us," they said. They also delivered Sulaiman's full message. Hearing this, the queen lowered her head and began to think. Sulaiman had not accepted her gift or her messengers. She continued to ask her men questions, and they told her everything they had seen. She understood that Sulaiman would only accept one thing, that she submit to him. The messengers also described the strength of Sulaiman's army. When the queen heard that his army included animals and jinn, she realized how serious the situation was. If she chose to fight him, it could mean losing everything she had. Now, there was only one option left, to try and convince Sulaiman through other means. As she looked at the gift that had been rejected, she thought deeply about what to do. Then, she decided to gather both her royal council and war advisors. Would 2 great kingdoms go to war? The coming meeting would be very important. At the same time, Prophet Sulaiman was holding a meeting in his own city. His council included ministers, commanders, war experts, and scholars. 2 lion guards stood nearby to protect the gathering. The hudhud bird was also there, ready to report. Sulaiman opened the meeting. "I praise Allah for all the wealth and power He has given us." Although he was very angry inside, he did not show his anger on the outside. He continued, "How can it be that while we are alive, carrying the banner of Tawhid, there are still people who worship the sun? This is a failure and a shame for us." Sulaiman was not ruling for his own glory, but for Allah's kingdom. That's why he felt both anger and responsibility. Then the army commander stood up with his sword in hand and said, "Just give the order, and I will destroy the throne of the Queen of Sheba and her people who deny Allah." But Sulaiman replied, "I do not prefer violence. We must find another way. I hope the queen will come here to meet me. But before she arrives, who among you can bring her throne here?" One of the jinns said, "I can bring it before you even stand up. You know how strong I am." But then a scholar, someone who had been given special knowledge by Allah, Ilm spoke and said, "I can bring it to you before you even blink your eye." As soon as Sulaiman accepted this offer, the throne of Queen Bilqis suddenly appeared in front of him. It was like teleportation, something no human had ever done before. Everyone was shocked. The throne was large and majestic. Everyone stared at it, lost in thought. A hudhud was there too, trying to understand what had just happened. Meanwhile, in the city of Sheba, both the royal and war councils had gathered. Queen Bilqis led the meeting. Everyone in the room looked pale and shocked. The queen spoke in a tired voice. "Today, we face a very difficult situation. Sulaiman wants us to surrender to him. He is threatening to destroy our strength. I ask you to help me find a solution." The advisors agreed that perhaps only the queen herself could go to Sulaiman and offer him even greater gifts. Maybe that would lead to peace. But they also said, if he refuses these gifts too, then war will be our only option. And this war could erase us from history. Everyone saw Queen Bilqis as their last hope. So, the queen decided to take a risk and go to Sulaiman's palace in person. Preparations began. New, more beautiful and expensive gifts were planned for him. Prophet Sulaiman knew that the queen had the wrong idea about power and progress. She was proud of her country's industry and technology. But Sulaiman alayhis salam wanted to teach her an important truth. Real greatness and true progress come only under the flag of Tawheed, belief in the oneness of Allah. Without belief in Allah, any system will eventually fall apart. What if you lose the world but gain Allah? You win. But if you gain the whole world and lose Allah, what good is that? Prophet Sulaiman, being a wise prophet, not only brought her throne, but also gave an order to change its design. When Sulaiman saw the sun symbol on the throne, he said, "How foolish is it for someone to worship the sun? Even if the sun were made of gold, bowing to it is still nonsense." He ordered parts of the throne to be changed. The throne redesign began according to his instructions. At the same time, Queen Bilqis was finishing her preparations. She ordered a caravan to be arranged to travel with her. Meanwhile, Sulaiman called the best architect in his kingdom and said, "Do you know why I called you? I want a palace built over water. Something that looks like a floating palace. Its entrance should be transparent, so anyone looking down thinks it's just water." The architect replied, "If that's what you want, shall I use pure glass for the floor, so the water below can be clearly seen?" Sulaiman said, "Yes, that would be perfect. Can you tell me how long the construction will take?" The architect replied, "If you allow the jinn to help, it will be finished in 2 weeks. If humans build it, it will take much longer." Sulaiman agreed, "I will order the jinn to help you, but I want the floor exactly as you described. Clear glass, so the water underneath is fully visible." The architect then asked, "Do you have any other requests for the ceiling or walls, my lord?" Sulaiman answered, "What do you think?" The architect said, "I think the ceiling should also be made of glass. That way, the sunlight will reflect on the water and create a beautiful scene. I also suggest making the walls from mirrors." Prophet Sulaiman was pleased with the idea and immediately ordered the architect to begin the work. The architect started building the palace. Soon, the magnificent structure began to rise above the water. As Queen Bilqis approached the land of Sulaiman, Hudhud was waiting for her at the border with an officer. On the way, the queen began to notice strange things. The stories her messengers had told her were true. This land was full of wonders. The closer she got to the palace, the more surprised she became. She saw part of Sulaiman's army, and it was the most powerful, frightening, and unusual army she had ever seen. Her fear grew stronger. Her heart was racing, and she could hardly breathe. This force didn't seem human. It had to be backed by divine power. Now, after seeing all this, she began to doubt the greatness and progress of her own kingdom. When she reached the city, her confidence was shaken. Her pride and ego began to collapse. Her fear slowly turned into awe. And very soon, she would step into the magnificent palace that Sulaiman had built. The scene she encountered was unlike anything she had ever seen. Sulaiman's kingdom was not only built with wealth and glory, it was also full of unbelievable beauty and artistic detail. Golden columns, doors decorated with precious stones, and handcrafted artwork in every corner dazzled her eyes. But the most impressive part was the entrance floor of Sulaiman's palace. It was made of glass. Underneath flowed crystal clear water. It shone so brightly that it looked like a deep pool. As Queen Bilqis slowly walked toward the palace, she thought the floor was water, so she lifted her dress to avoid getting wet. And in that moment, her legs were revealed. Now we come to the most mysterious part. According to some old sources, Sulaiman had a secret reason for building the glass floor. It wasn't just for beauty or display. It was a test. Why? Because, as a prophet who could control jinn, Sulaiman had received some hidden information. There were whispers that Bilqis might not be a regular human. Some believed she was half human, half jinn. Prophet Sulaiman knew the nature of jinn very well. He also knew that jinn usually had hairy legs. That's why he made the shiny glass floor look like water, to make Bilqis lift her dress. At that moment, he would be able to see her legs and confirm his suspicion. Bilqis might not have been an ordinary human being, but why did some people believe that she was half human and half jinn? This idea appears in different religious and cultural sources in various ways. Some stories claim that Bilqis was born from the union of a human and a jinn. According to one version, her mother was a human queen, and her father was an ifrit, a powerful jinn. That's why Bilqis had both human beauty and some jinn-like physical traits. The Quran does not say clearly whether Bilqis was human or jinn. In Ethiopian texts, she is not described as having jinn origins. Instead, she is portrayed as a wise and spiritual human queen. These stories focus more on her wisdom and purity than her physical features. So what do Islamic sources say? Most Islamic scholars agree that Bilqis was a human. The rumor about her being half jinn was actually made up by the jinn themselves. Why? Because they didn't want Sulaiman to be interested in her or marry her. The jinn were afraid if Sulaiman had a son, that child might rule like his father and force them to serve again. Using the secret knowledge Sulaiman had, they served Sulaiman unwillingly and were hoping to be free after his death. But if his son ruled, they would be trapped again, and most jinn are known to be liars, not only in Sulaiman's time, but in every time. Prophet Sulaiman knew this well. That's why he arranged this situation to be sure. And when he saw Bilqis's legs, and saw they were normal human legs, his doubt was gone. After she passed over the glass floor, Sulaiman became sure that she was human. Then he showed her the throne. Queen Bilqis was very surprised. Sulaiman asked her, "Is this your throne?" Bilqis looked closely. She didn't know what to say. It looked exactly like her throne, but something about it had changed. "Finally," she said, "it looks very much like it under the throne." Sulaiman had placed a message, "We are among those who submit to Allah." As Bilqis looked more carefully, she realized that this truly was her own throne. Somehow, it had been brought from her palace before she even arrived. And it had been changed. This was yet another proof of the great power Allah had given to Prophet Sulaiman. Queen Bilqis was lost in deep thought. The more she thought, the more she realized how weak and foolish her people's beliefs were compared to the wisdom and logic of Prophet Sulaiman. That day, she was invited to lunch. Prophet Sulaiman sat beside her and began to share his thoughts. He spoke about Allah, the Lord of the worlds, most generous, most high, the one who created the sun to serve humans. He said, just like butterflies and lilies in the garden serve Allah, the sun was also created to serve him. For a human being to bow down to another creation, like the sun, is a great insult to human intelligence. Queen Bilqis then understood that the sun they worshipped was nothing more than a beautiful trap set by For the first time, the brightness of the sun faded in her heart, and a new light, one that never sets, began to shine within her. Just then, her advisors came and said, "Soon the sun will set. It's time for our daily bowing to the sun." But the queen stood up and said, "You fools! Do you still believe the sun is worthy of worship? Shaitan made our entire belief system look good to us. Leave this place without hearing what Sulaiman has said." The advisors became afraid of what might happen and quickly left. For the first time, the queen felt something warm and beautiful moving inside her heart. It was as if the colors of the rainbow were reflecting her emotions. Queen Bilqis realized it was time to declare her faith in Islam. With deep emotion, she admitted that she had been fooling herself all along, and she became a Muslim. Soon after, the people of Saba followed their queen. They left sun worship and began to bow only to Allah. And all of this began with the feelings and voice the bird had felt that day while the other birds flew ahead. This story, told in our holy book, the Quran Al-Kareem, reminds us of the value of knowledge, the honor of the scholar, and that true knowledge is a gift from Allah that requires gratitude. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us reach more people and share these beautiful stories. See you in the next video.